My name is Dean Shoesmith. I'm Executive Head of Human Resources and I work for two London boroughs, London Borough of Sutton and London Borough of Merton, which reflects public service changes and trying to get more efficient public services and sharing back office functions across public sector organisations. I'm going to talk to you about Tutty in an adverse situation. Firstly, I want to talk to you a bit about brand. Now, most people probably will recognise some well-known brands. So I guess most of us have shopped in Marks and Spencer's. Most of us might get our pharmaceutical products from a company like Boots. And perhaps when we're out doing our shopping on a Saturday afternoon, we might pop into Costa Coffee. Those are all well-known brands. We might even be wearing our Nike trainers as we do that. Those are all well-known brands and they all have a great brand image, I would say. And they're well-known, they're household names. We see them in the media, we see them on our televisions, in our newspapers, on posters and up and down our high streets where we shop and integrate with our communities. And they're a great brand image. Where I work in local government, unfortunately we don't share such a great brand image, and some research by the Guardian newspaper of university graduates from about 5 years ago likens their perception of local government officials to Mr. Bean, the comedy character that probably most of us know and love from the television. So unfortunately we start from a very poor base of brand image, and that has a direct implication for recruitment and retention. I'm going to move on in a moment to talk specifically about an occupational group where there is a particularly difficult brand image and particular difficulties with the recruitment and retention of that occupation. The particular occupation I'm going to talk about is social work, and what do the towns of Rotherham, Coventry and Doncaster all have in common. For those of you who are football fans, it's not football teams, although they do have that in common. It's actually, they've all had really bad press over childcare issues and care of children in the care of the local authorities. And so there's some notable children. Unfortunately, Daniel Pelker from Coventry Council is one who's particularly notable, and that has meant a really bad image for that local authority, and that has a direct bearing on the ability to recruit and retain social workers for those local authorities. I'm going to talk a bit specifically about my own local challenges as a kind of case study of the challenges that we've faced in terms of our brand image and what we've tried to do about that brand image and the challenges we have for recruitment and retention. So I'm going to concentrate particularly on the London Borough of Sutton, where in 2012 we had a visit from Ofsted, who are the education body that assesses our children's services, our children's social work services, and unfortunately we received an inadequate and unsatisfactory Ofsted inspection from the body. That had a direct bearing on our ability to recruit and retain social workers. Across the UK there's a national crisis with the recruitment and retention of social workers, and once you layer on top of that an inadequate Ofsted inspection, that makes the position all the more challenging, and that was the situation we faced over the last couple of years. It's made us think very hard and very deep about what we would do to recruit and retain social workers. So initially we went down our tried and tested methods of going in the national press, in national journals, and we spent something approaching £80,000 to try and recruit and retain social workers, and we ended up with 2 social workers as a result of that campaign. We looked at different methods, and we used with our colleagues from WCN our applicant tracking system and a talent bank which we optimised through Google. During the same time period as our national newspaper campaigns, we attracted 8 candidates that way and hired 8 candidates for an outlay of £5,000. So you can see just from that little case study the return on investment of thinking about recruiting and resourcing in different ways, different from the traditional ways in which we've gone about recruiting and resourcing social work staff. We've had to think much more broadly about our whole recruiting strategy, and that's taken us overseas because there's such restrictions on numbers of social workers in the UK. We've had to use online methods and direct sourcing methods, so using CVs and online profiles where we've directly engaged with social workers, and that has yielded the best results possible. So we've diversified the way in which we've recruited, and interestingly, that's seen a diversification of our workforce, and that's the next part of the little case study that I'm going to explain to you. The final part of the case study is really what impact has there been from the recruitment and retention measures that we've taken for our social workers and the way in which we've resourced them. It's seen a vacancy level for our permanent workforce that was a very high level of 40% dropped to 30%. That's still too high, but we've made tangible progress in a hyper-competitive London environment and a hyper-competitive national environment. So the use of things like going overseas, using direct sourcing, optimising our talent bank, having a constant online presence, all of those things together as a package of resourcing has yielded good results, far better than our traditional methods of recruiting. It's also seen an interesting diversification of our workforce. So we have something like 36% of our social workers are from a BME background. That's good news when it comes to making sure our social workers are highly representative of the community that they serve. It's really important for something like social care that the workforce is highly representative of the community. We've also seen some increase in the disability profile of our social care workforce, again, and that's so important when we're providing services to those people who are the most vulnerable people in our communities. What next? We will continue to diversify, we will continue to monitor impact, we will continue to use technology, and we'll continue to analyse our results and evaluate the impact so that we can bring that vacancy level down even further and ensure great continuity, great quality care, and hopefully pass our Ofsted inspections for the future. But most importantly of all, we make sure our children in our care are safe and secure.